Self-managed super funds is a growing area. It's growing rapidly, probably the fastest growing part of the superannuation industry. And what I see as an advisor is clients going out there and setting them up wrong. You need to seek a professional. You need to talk to your accountant, you need a lawyer involved and potentially a financial advisor as well, because there are setup costs and it needs to be done properly. You need to have, in most cases, a corporate trustee, which does cost money, and so there are setup costs. The other thing is you need to consider whether it's right for you. Just because it's the flavour of the month doesn't mean it's the right thing. You really need to look at how much money you've got.
Look, the SMSF market has grown enormously over the last 10 years, and particularly the last 5 years. A lot of people are in that market when it's very debatable as to whether they should be there. Their account balance, a lot of people argue that the account balances of many people are way too small to be in that sector. If you go into that sector, it's more because there tend to be three reasons. One, because you like picking shares yourself or fund managers, so you've got a real interest and you may have some expertise, or with your advisor, it's something that you enjoy doing. If you're that sort of person, well, it tends to make a lot of sense. A lot of people go into DIYs because they want to own a piece of property outright. All right? So Australians like property. So you can't do that in a public offer fund, but you can do it in a DIY. But there, you need a reasonable amount of money in your DIY in order to go out and buy a property. And the third thing is that there are some genuine sort of estate planning reasons to go into a DIY, but whether they're enough to outweigh the downsides of a DIY, which is you actually have to take the time to do it. You do have a lot of responsibilities. Most people don't really have the expertise. They might get the help of a financial planner, but generally most people don't have the expertise to be picking investments. And the older you get, surprisingly or not surprisingly, the less interested you become. Grandchildren become more important, or great-grandchildren, or just your lifestyle becomes much more important, and worrying about investments is the last thing you want to do.
Mainly it works really well for people, usually that have their own business. They tend to like a bit of control because they own their own business, so it seems the natural course to go to a self-managed super fund. But you need to have at least 200 to 250,000 in assets before it becomes financially viable. There are costs there. I think people go into them because they think that they're not going to have high costs, but you do have accounting fees, you have lodgement fees, and you'll have fees too if you're buying and selling shares. So by the time you weigh it all up, it's not always that cheaper than a retail version. So our advice is always accumulate your money in a retail environment, and then if you want a self-managed super fund, then go down that road when you've accumulated money. The other side of it is make sure you understand that there are responsibilities, that you are the trustee. The ATO will make sure that you adhere to the rules, so you need to understand what it is that self-managed super fund is all about.